everybody, hope you're doing well. So today we are tackling the passenger side shocks and spring on our T25. Obviously I explained in the previous video that we had issues on the driver's side. So far this side's been pretty good, but if you do want to tackle this, a couple of things to look out for. So these 3 bolts down here, they go straight through. They also hold the radius arm, which you can see the holes there. They actually get seized. Now I can't turn these at the top, but I've managed to get the nuts off. But definitely worth giving them a good clean, a bit of copper grease in there just to prevent that seizing up in the future. These do take a bit to work to get them loose, but what I'd probably recommend, if you are gonna, or if you do need to get these out for that, which I think is the ball joint on this one, or it gets the actual arm that goes over the ball joint, get yourself some new bolts, because if they snap, then at least you've got them to replace them. So I haven't got any new bolts, so I'm not going to mess around with them from the top at this point for that reason. As for the spring, obviously it's the original spring on this, and there's a lot of tension behind it, so I am just using a clamp just to bring it down a little bit, which I managed to do on the other side, just enough to get it out. With the new suspension setup I put in on this, they are lowering springs, so you don't need to worry about clamping it out to put it in. I think that's really about it. So normally, I mean, this was the anti-roll bar. Ours is the bent one, so ours is the early one. This was quite seized in the arm, which if I can find the original, I had it around somewhere, but I've probably lost it. The actual sleeve, here it is, the sleeve that was on this was in bad shape, and it was absolutely rotten, so I have managed to get a replacement with some new bushes, and also the radius. Again, if you're doing this sort of job, it's worth looking at changing these. That's the state of ours, absolutely past it. So I've got some new ones of those to go on as well. The ball joint, upper ball joint, normally these bolts seize and snap, so again, I recommend if you're there, check the condition of your ball joints. They're not expensive, so if you need to take it out like you do to do the suspension, buy new ones. I'm glad we did. I mean, thankfully these 2 bolts come out fine compared to the other side, but there's, I'll try and do it one-handed, it's just loads and loads of free play in it, and plus the bush was all cracked as well. So out with the old, in with the new. Another thing to look out when you buy new is there are issues with the threads in the housing. So what I've done, I've just made the hole just a tad bit bigger, and I'm going to use some nuts, 17mm head, and what I do when I get it up, I'll hold some lock nuts up to the housing there. They just fit, but they won't turn, so like the housing holds them in place, and I'll torque them up that way, because as soon as you try to do the normal bolts up, the threads are going. So I can only put it down to an issue with the brand of ball joint. Now I don't know the brand on this one because this was off my friend's van. They weren't on there long at all. So, but just something to think about, that if you are putting some ball joints on, the threads could go, so peace of mind, upgrade the bolts, washer on the top and the lock nut underneath. At least you know it's not going to go anywhere. So yeah, again, just peace of mind on that. Everything else in our fan, the brakes are all good, plenty of meat on the pads. I'm going to clean the disc and that up anyway, and every part I take off. So over here I'll be cleaning this, and I'll be painting this in underseal, and I'll also be painting in there in underseal as well. I will do the rest of this, but I'm just going to concentrate on the bits we're changing at the moment. But yeah, I'm going to crack on, and I'll come back to you when I'm done. Okay, so the new suspension is in. New radius arm bushes are also in. Drop link bush and everything's done, and as you can see, when I've taken things off, I've cleaned it up and I've put underseal on it, the same as in there. Obviously the rest of it we will be jet washing, and obviously giving it any sort of like previous welds, which there's some up here. I will be seam sealing them and then under sealing again, future proofing. The ball joint that was off my friend's van, which I think only covered about 50 miles, it's going in the bin. The thread for the main shaft, it's not doing up properly, so I'm just going to order a new one and put another one on. And that's what I'm saying about the bolts. I cut them down a little bit to make them fit, and I've just put the lock nut there. I mean, that's secure, it ain't going nowhere at all. Just gave in the disc and the caliper just a little lick of paint just to tidy it up. I've also put new lock nuts on the bottom of the radius arm as well. So yeah, it's all done. Like I say, I just need to redo the ball joint as and when that turns up. And I need to do these bushes at some point. It's very stiff to move that arm. But yeah, happy that it's done. It's been a bit stressful because, like I say, there are bolts that are seized and do cause you a bit of headache, especially when you want to get it re-lined up. But it's done. It's all got all new suspension all around now, so happy days. Also, while you're under here tackling jobs, these lines here which go to these, if I remember, like evaporation tanks for the fuel tank, worth changing these. A couple of these have got a couple of cracks in them, so I'm going to be doing these at some point, either today or tomorrow, and just put some new ones on. The ones further down there, because this has had a new tank, they're fine, but yeah, and plus that's a different size to that one, so it just looks odd, but they're going to get done. So that'll all be cushy as well. But I'll just take you round the back of the fan, and my wife has just hand painted the back, just in some white hammerite. Obviously not finished, there's a couple of areas I need to rub down, but it's had a coat. And that is the engine. I will do another video about fuel lines and the rubber grommets in the housing. Again, a separate video, but yeah, that's one thing you definitely need to check, and if it hasn't got one, put them on it. It just protects it, you know, saves splitting fuel lines and having fires and everything else. But yeah, it's all nice and tidy under here, under sealed inside them as well. Engine, but the engine itself will do with a good old clean, and I have got a new vibration plate going on over the next few days for the carburetor, and I also need to do up here, I need to change that part of the vacuum hose for the brake servo, because there's got a couple of cracks in it. So I've put a new rubber hose down here, and I'm probably going to do the same again on there. But yeah, that's where we're at so far. I'll end it here, but please like and subscribe. There's plenty more to come, but any questions or anything like that, please comment below and I'll get back to you soon.